Hi everyone. Thanks for submitting questions and tuning in today for our March AMA. I hope you all had a chance to explore the new charts on SaucerSwap. So we've basically broken down total volume and total value locked into V1 and V2, in which you can see how much more volume goes through V2 pools versus V1 pools. Very cool. Also, crypto.com now allows users to send and receive native Hedera USDC. Really awesome. I'm really happy for that. And then lastly, if you're in the United States, daylight savings time starts tomorrow. So the time change will take place at 2 a.m. on Sunday, March 9th, moving ahead to 3 a.m. So without ado, let's get this started. Peter?
Hey everyone, yeah, thanks for joining this AMA. This will be a bit of a fireside chat with me and Song. It's just us today, but we got some decent questions, so I hope you find some value during our time together. I wanted to kick things off with a recap of our previous month, both in terms of public announcements and developments that haven't been highlighted on our social media. So, in terms of the public stuff, we did push a few updates to the website, including an updated chart library that Song was talking about. And one of the things that allows us to do is display open, high, low, close data in the form of candles on our price charts. So we rolled this out knowing that some of the timeframes look a little bit wonky. The 1 day candlestick chart has like a bunch of candles on it, so it's not that clean. But we do have a ticket to update the intervals for the charts used throughout the website. Anyway, we thought this was a good first step. I think it has been successful in displaying some more actionable information to users, and it sets us up pretty well for future developments for the charts. We also integrated the Coinbase on-ramp in close collaboration with the Coinbase team. In fact, we are expecting some announcements and a blog post highlighting SaucerSwap to be posted by the Coinbase team, which of course is a wonderful development. It has been great working with them on that integration. We also did some hiring in the last month or so. So this is behind the scenes, but we hired a full-time developer who is awesome. He has decades of experience working with fintech companies and is working with the rest of our engineering team to bring SaucerSwap forward, mostly in regards to industry best practices, faster and more efficient and reliable data, which I will get to a little bit later. He's also leading the subgraph investigation and future integration, which is on our roadmap. Speaking of the subgraph, we are making meaningful progress here. We've been talking with a couple potential providers for the subgraph hosting. It's in our immediate roadmap because it will dramatically improve the analytics capabilities. The main thing is making data more accessible for developers, and that can open up the potential for some other integrations with, for example, Dune Analytics, which we talked about in the past. On the marketing side, we have two new hires. We have Gabe and Mango. You will see both of them in the public Discord with the community manager roles. So Gabe is working mostly on the design side of things. He is helping us navigate the brand refresh and do announcement graphics, various multimedia things. He does videos as well. We've actually worked with Gabe for a couple of years, but we've kind of formalized his role, and he's come on with some more consistent hours. Mango is helping with active community management. Mango has just been an awesome member of the community, and he is taking a special focus on joining our on leading our Spanish-speaking user base expansion. So please give them both a warm welcome to the team. We have also made substantial progress in our brand refresh and the initial mock-ups for the updated website. We're nearing the end of the branding portion of the engagement with the design agency we've been working with. And after we finish that, we'll move on to the website work next. This is a multi-week process just for the design work before integrating it on the front end, but we think it will be a major step forward for the public image of SaucerSwap and our initial impression on new users. On the back end side of development, we are migrating a lot of our data calculations to Python, which we have put through we've made a proof of concept in our dev environment, and it has been shown there to radically improve our calculation times, with some of the high compute calculations literally speeding up by over an order of magnitude. So we're getting like some 10x performance improvements. It might sound like this is kind of an in the weeds item, but by doing this, we actually open up new possibilities on the product side, both for users interacting with the data through the interface, and then also developers who are using our API. So this should allow us in part to provide even higher precision data with intra-minute updates. That is also on our roadmap, so this is kind of a prerequisite to that. And the idea with the intra-minute price data is that we can make SaucerSwap a highly competitive platform for serious traders who want the absolute highest precision to make on-the-fly decisions. So those migrations to Python are doing some heavy lifting there. And those should go to production before the next AMA. Another update that we have in our staging environment is an AI help bot that is trained on all of our documentation, as well as all of our Discord chat history and support tickets. And we have that integrated directly onto the website. Right now, it's a little bit separate from the global search, but I think there's a world in which the global search and this AI chatbot are accessed via the same interface, so just the search bar at the top. But the idea here is that a new user can simply ask the bot, how can I get started? And they'll get a meaningful, actionable answer about how to do that. And an existing user can ask, why is my swap failing? And they can put in the error code and get a meaningful answer there. Or they can ask, how does impermanent loss differ between SaucerSwap version 1 and version 2? And again, receive valuable, easy to understand, and actionable answers. So we think this is important for bringing on new users, educating and empowering our current users. So that is currently in staging. It's being tested, and it is slated to be released likely next week or the following week. We are also overhauling our developer documentation in order to make integrations with SaucerSwap even easier. Iron, who is just an all-star for the SaucerSwap ecosystem, is spearheading this effort. We have also migrated all of our product documentation from Gitbook to another platform called Mintlify, which is used by some of the leading tech companies like Anthropic, Perplexity, some of the other leading AI companies, and some Web3 companies as well. But the idea here is that it's a very configurable kind of platform, both for product and developer documentation, and it allows us to hook up our GitHub directly to the documentation so that we can release patch notes for the API, change logs for interface. So that should be kind of a quality of life improvement for the documentation. Last but certainly not least, we have been communicating with the new leadership at the HBAR Foundation, and we will be presenting a new proposal to have an ongoing collaboration and support from them. Nothing is set in stone yet, but SaucerSwap and the foundation are obviously very aligned on key objectives for the ecosystem. So we are very excited and hopeful about what that has to offer going forward. Our ideas have been well received by leadership so far. So that is an item that's moving forward. Preamble, I should say protracted preamble is over. I just wanted to give you guys sense of what we've been working on, what to expect over the next few weeks. Um, Even if some of those developments seem more developer focused, we do believe they're all important to growing the ecosystem and the DeFi and Hedera DeFi. So now we can get into the questions for the same A.
Thank you so much for that, Peter. So to start us off, can you provide any updates on SaucerSwap's progress towards integrating interoperability with Axelar and what this might look like?
Yeah, we had a call with the Hashgraph DeFi Alliance last week, and this came up. A representative from the HBAR Foundation was there and presented us an update with regards to the Axelar integration at the network level. This has, of course, been delayed a few times, which has been frustrating on our end. But what was communicated to us during that meeting was that Axelar is still expected to go live in Q1, which is, has about 2 weeks left. I am personally a bit skeptical about that timeline. I could be wrong, but in any case, it sounds like it should happen relatively soon. And after that happens, the order of operations basically is Axelar goes live, but that doesn't mean that bridging immediately goes live. So they then need to integrate Squid Router, which should be one notch above trivially easy. I think that should not take long at all. And then we need to test our integration of Squid Router through our front end to make sure it all works as expected. And then once that's done, we can get the bridging feature into our product. So it's realistically still a few weeks away. Apparently, there is progress being made. It's pretty much up to the foundation and the XLR team to get their portion across the finish line. And then once that's ready and Squid Router is ready, we will move fast on our side.
Awesome. Thanks for the update on Axelar. So the next question is from Got to Learn. When will we be able to stake our XOS in community pools? It says soon on the website, but it's been over 2 years.
So community pools is on the near term roadmap, which means it isn't something we are actively working on right now, but it is something that we plan to work on after items on the immediate term roadmap are completed. For more information on the current vision of community pools, we published a Medium article around the turn of the year. It details both our roadmap as well as the current plan for community pools. I do want to acknowledge the wait has been longer than anyone expected. As outlined in the new vision for community pools in that Medium article, we basically completely redesigned this feature based on how the ecosystem has evolved. So the kind of high level idea is that instead of limiting pools to a single launchpad, which was the idea before, we want to build a more decentralized framework that will be accessible to projects regardless of size or origin. And the technical infrastructure required for that is a little bit more than initially anticipated, especially after prioritizing the V2 launch and how it all works with Larry. So there's more moving parts. It touches more features. I can't give an exact date for community pools. We're targeting this for implementation after completing our immediate term priorities. The good news is that with the recent surge of new Hedera projects coming through Meme Job and the RWAs integrating and the interoperability coming with Axelar and Layer Zero, the timing is actually better now for meaningful community pool engagement than it was in the past. So I guess that's the silver lining. We're still planning to build it. It's on the near term roadmap.
Great, thanks for that. Another question about XOS. Anon is wondering, how is XOS counted for TVL Is it part of both all V1 and V2 pools or just sauce?
Yeah, good question. So TVL is calculated as the sum of all V1 and V2 pools plus single sided staking. And this follows the standard format used by all of their DeFi platforms. When we were originally launching single sided staking, we looked into this. And if we only counted the pool liquidity, so version one, version two, pool liquidity summed up, we would be underestimating the platform's TVL based on the industry standard, which would not be a good idea. It would just basically move us down on the DeFi Llama ranking for no good reason. So we followed the market on this one. It's V1 plus V2 plus single sided staking liquidity.
Great, thanks for that insight. Anon says Coinbase commented ready on one of our X posts, waiting on SaucerSwap to reach out. Why are we only listed on four exchanges? Accessibility plus discoverability equals liquidity. A follow-up question from another user is SaucerSwap nearing a token listing or deeper integration on Binance and or Coinbase? And if so, what's the potential timeline or status?
So Coinbase commented ready in regards to the Coinbase on-ramp feature. I mentioned this in the public Discord, but it's worth mentioning again, I think. We didn't just follow some SDK to integrate the Coinbase on-ramp. We actively worked with the Coinbase team to integrate and release that feature. And as I mentioned, there should be more marketing coming out from Coinbase's team highlighting this integration. Of course, we would love to explore more opportunities to collaborate with Coinbase. To give you a little insight into how we think about this, we wanted to start with the Coinbase on ramp on Hedera as the first step. So after that, we can open up to more HTS tokens like USDC and then explore the possibility for other things like a listing. As I mentioned in the past, the HTS standard has to be adopted by exchanges before listings are possible. So strategically, we saw the Coinbase on ramp as the right door to open in order to achieve other longer term objectives. So hopefully that makes sense and gives us a little insight into how we think about this.
Great, thanks for that. Another question from Got to Learn. Can we get an alert when our pool is out of range so we can make our adjustments as soon as possible?
Yes, this personally, I'm really excited about this feature. We have platform notifications on our roadmap. I think it would be a great feature. Specifically, I think the SaucerSwap mobile app, which is also on our roadmap, would be the perfect pairing for this notification service. But we're looking at implementing this in phases. So the first step would be building the notification infrastructure as part of our near-term roadmap work. And for out of range position alerts specifically, those are likely to be included in our first release of the notification system since they're high value for liquidity providers and relatively straightforward to implement technically. While the mobile app will eventually provide the best experience, I think, for these alerts, we want to explore the web-based notifications first as an interim solution, and that could certainly be deployed sooner.
Awesome sauce. So, Got to Learn has another question. Any idea if Hashpack is planning on working with Ledger devices for us to use smart contracts? Got to Learn wants to stake more of their sauce, but don't feel safe in Hashpack.
I'm not sure about that one. That's a good question for Hashback. There's been like a back and forth with this Ledger conversation for literally years at this point. So yeah, if you're in the Hashback Discord, it's probably a good question. Or Pluto sometimes joins these AMAs, and um, he might have an update on that. He's in our server as well.
Great. Anon is asking, when can we expect perpetuals on SaucerSwap? Is 2025 a realistic target? This would attract liquidity by enabling shorting and boosting volume in downturns.
Yes, perpetuals is on our roadmap too. It's definitely a longer term endeavor. Almost certainly it's not going to happen in 2025. There are just so many considerations around it. The engineering is complex. The product is very different from what we currently have. There's regulatory hurdles and lack of clarity. So we do plan on moving forward with it. It is on our roadmap, but it's a really big project and we want to do it right. We're rushing perpetuals out the door is definitely not the move. To provide a little bit more context, there are a few pieces that need to be in place first. We need to complete the SaucerSwap version 1, version 2 core protocol optimizations. We need to build more robust security infrastructure and establish cross-chain capabilities. Those all come before perpetuals from our point of view. And from a prioritization standpoint, perpetuals fall into our future roadmap category rather than immediate or near term. So if you look at our roadmap, basically everything near and immediate will likely come before perpetuals. The regulatory landscape, as I mentioned, is still evolving around perpetuals. If we released it now, we would not be able to offer it in quite a few countries. So we want to just ensure our implementation aligns with the best practices. We could do it right. We fully recognize the significant value perpetuals would bring to the ecosystem. If we did it right, it would be a home run. But we just need to do it right. So we're taking our time with it. So don't expect it in 2025. It's almost certainly not going to happen, but it could happen next year.
Great, thanks for that insight. Another question from Got to Learn. Can we get other currencies in SaucerSwap? They're Canadian, and there's only USD in the settings.
Yes, we used to have other currencies in the first version of the website, actually, which was a really long time ago now, almost 3 years, I guess, 2.5 years. But that like currency selector caused problems. There was issues with the calculation. And I think at the time our API only offered, if I recall correctly, H-bar prices. We didn't have like a USD price and we calculate everything on the front end. Now we have USD prices in our API. But multi-currency support is a ticket in our backlog, and we will add it either when other higher priority items are completed, or if there's enough user demand. We usually see these questions coming up kind of intermittently, so we don't see like a huge need for it. But if you're listening and you can't trade on SauceSwap without seeing the prices in Korean won or Canadian dollars, whatever, let us know, and that would be really helpful feedback.
Great, thanks for that, Peter. This next question is from Cunty Cats. Cross-chain expansion integrate SaucerSwap with high throughput blockchains, Solana, Polygon, Arbitrum, to tap into larger liquidity pools and user bases. Thoughts on that?
Multi-chain is on our roadmap. Yep. Our strategy here is to first focus on bridges. We don't really have interoperability on Hedera right now. We just have Hashport bridge. So we are focusing on Axelar and then later layer 0. Those integrations kind of establish the foundation that would make any sort of multi-chain strategy possible. And then after that, we would be able to pursue a multi-chain strategy, and we would just have to choose the networks and which ecosystem would synergize well, where the liquidity potential would be. That's definitely more of a future term roadmap rather than immediate. We want to make sure that Hedera is always first. We strongly identify as Hedera's leading DEX. And when we do go multi-chain, that's not going to change. We do see significant potential in eventually bringing SaucerSwap's model to additional high performance networks. But as I mentioned, there's kind of the interoperability piece that needs to be in place before we do that.
Awesome sauce. A Question slash comment from Anon. Expand governance power voting on liquidity pools, fee structures, or partnerships could make sauce more appealing to long term holders, driving demand.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand this question. So sauce and XSauce voting um, does play a causal role in aligning incentives, both for version one, version two. That's how the incentives work is through the token weighted voting. It's a core utility. I don't know how partnerships would be governed by voting. Partnerships are typically agreed upon by the two parties forming a partnership. It's not usually a democratic process. That said, I think there are opportunities to bring more features under the purview of governance, but for the time being, we're still in the early stages of governance. It's been working reasonably well, but we're still working out some kinks with the existing functions and the process. HBAR Millionaire has been awesome for giving a bunch of feedback and asking hard questions about governance and helping refine the system. So that all kind of has to happen first, is getting a an airtight system and process, and no outstanding questions. But we have seen a lot of progress going from kind of our proto governance to our current token weighted system. And the token weighted system now is the driving function for aligning incentives. So that has been really good to see. And it's kind of a Hedera novel way of doing it using the consensus service. The next evolution probably um, involves better tools for governance participation. We did release the delegation mechanism. Eventually, we have this item on the roadmap, the DAO as a service infrastructure. So that would be a future tool for other HTS projects that want to use our governance model. And the key is building this incrementally to ensure each component is robust before expanding the scope. So we're still in the early stages, still answering some of those questions and working it all out. And we have seen kind of as a cautionary tale, some protocols rush governance before it's ready, and it just creates a lot of problems. So we don't want that to happen. So we're taking a measured approach.
Thanks for that insight on DAO governance. This next statement slash question from Anon. Gamified D5 experience, introduce NFT based rewards or gamification for staking, trading, or providing liquidity. For example, rare NFTs. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just don't think there's enough demand for that to be worth it. There are, a ton of things we can do with our development resources, rather than, creating NFT badges or like an achievement system or something. It also just doesn't really feel on brand to me. But the key thing, I think, is that no one's asking for it. There's not really a good reason to do it unless people really want it. So if users just en masse wanted this, it could be done. But again, there are literally hundreds of tickets in our backlog. So in order to succeed, we need to prioritize the right ones.
Thanks for that. Anon is wondering, is RLUSD in the talks with SaucerSwap?
No, we have not talked with the RL USD team. And I think that is the last question. So gets us kind of through the Q&A portion. Before we break, I know Song will be giving out a Dogstar Community Award. So that'll just be in a second here. I did want to just thank everyone for attending and asking questions. And if you had any questions for us that were not answered, just please remember we do this every month, typically on the second Saturday. You're always welcome to submit questions, and we'll do our best to answer all of them. So, yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining. And Song, I'll hand it back over to you for the outro.
Great, thanks for that, Peter. So thank you all for tuning in today's AMA. Before we sign off, this AMA's Dogstar Award goes to a SaucerSwap community member that has taken a really proactive approach in creating some fun and cool content. So congratulations, Saucy. Thanks for all of those awesome gifts. I've uploaded them to Tenor. and we look forward to seeing more of your creations. So everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you all next month.
Yeah, thank you again, everyone. And for those in the Northern Hemisphere, see you in the spring. Thanks. Bye.